Sports, a part of the British Sky Broadcasting Network.
Sawadee Cup from Thailand, and welcome once again to the Imperial Hotel here in Bangkok and Sky Sports coverage of the 1992 Asian Open Snooker Championship. Well, after a most enjoyable stay here in this fascinating city, we once again find ourselves at the climax of this event, and that, of course, means the final, to be contested over 17 frames between Steve Davis of England and Alan McManus of Scotland. Who will wind up taking home the winner's check of £30,000? And who will console themselves with the runners-up check of £19,000. It was a long, hard road to this final, a final which began back in the qualifying stages in England, and there were some notable absentees who didn't even make the trip to Bangkok. Among them, world number 1, Stephen Hendry, number 3, Jimmy White, and local favorite and hero, James Watana. The players, while in Bangkok, have found some time to see a few sights between practice sessions and matches. A good deal of time, and money I might add, has been spent around some of the local markets bartering for the best deal available. Time was also found to take in more of the touristy type attractions such as the snake farm. A little hairy at times, but no different than bearing down on a frame-winning black, I suppose. If snakes weren't your cup of tea, how about an elephant ride? They don't bite, do they? It wouldn't have been a proper trip to Bangkok without having visited the canals and seen some of the unique styles of boats and their native uses. At the conclusion of their days, it was always back to the Imperial Hotel for some hard time spent on the practice table or just some relaxation around the pool and gardens. And now comes the time for the serious business, the best of 17 frames final between Davis and McManus. Steve Davis, age 31, world rank number 2, tournament seed number 2. His career earnings are over £3 million. He has one previous meeting earlier this season against Alan McManus, and on that occasion, it was Davis winning 5 frames to 3. To reach this final, he beat Dennis Taylor, Alain Robidoux, and Willie Thorne. Alan McManus, age 21, in only his second year as a professional, world rank number 41, and unseeded in this tournament. His career earnings are over £100,000. His route to the final took him past Martin Clark, Mark Bennett, and Joe Swale.
I think for me, the most memorable was probably the semi-final against Joe Swale. It seemed to bring back memories of about 2 years ago, just before I turned professional. It was the final of the English Amateur Championships, and he actually beat me 13-11. So it was nice to get revenge, and it was a funny feeling, you know, playing that match. It was as if we were still amateurs, but out in that arena, the pressure was obviously a lot more intense.
I'm very well aware of Alan's ability and his talent, and also he's got a very sensible head on his shoulders, and you need that to play in the competitive tournament arena we've got now. So I'm certainly not taking the game lightly. I'm very well aware of the fact that I'm there to be shot at, but I'm probably stronger than I was a year ago and was getting shot down quite easily. So who knows what's going to happen? It will be on the day. I think probably the 2 players who are playing the best stuff since we've been over here have got to the final, and so it'll be a shootout today, and we're both pretty happy with how we're playing, I think, at the moment. Obviously, great to win. It'll be very disappointing to lose.
Well, Steve got the start that he was looking for, taking the first frame 67-31. And we join frame 2 with Davis trailing 7-0. Your commentators Dino Kane and Jim White.
just narrowly missing a plant there. And there's what these players are playing for. The trophy on the right, the larger one, to the winner, and the one on the left to the runner-up. Pretty nice pieces of hardware.
Difficult striking for Alan over the yellow here, but this is fairly comfortable pot. Can he steer the cue ball into position on a colour? Well, I'm sure we'll see Alan going for the black this time. He'll be cannoning into the red towards the top cushion, so he's got to control the cue ball. And he's nicely on a couple of reds there. Straight through for the black off this one. We'd like to get rid of that red which is towards the top cushion, because that would open up the black for both corner pockets. So we may see him play for that red now off this black.
These two players, Alan McManus and Steve Davis, have in fact recently met in a ranking event back in the UK earlier in this year. And on that occasion, it was Steve Davis prevailing 5 frames to 3. But that does give an indication that Alan McManus certainly not overawed by the 6 times world champion. And he'd like nothing better than to wreak his revenge in the final of a ranking event. And already 31 points on his side of the board, obviously looking to add to that total.
Yes, Jim, he can't get on the black off this red, so it's down for the blue, and he has to finish below the blue, which he's just achieved. So now with a reasonable angle to travel up towards the reds again. And this time he's nicely on the red that he played for, into the right corner pocket.
And the break standing at 38. Steve just observing and wondering if he's going to get another chance in the second frame. Already won the first frame, but it's Alan McManus in the commanding position in frame 2.
This pot isn't difficult, but the positional side is a bit tricky. He's played that very nicely indeed. Never easy with the wrist, and of course he had the extension on the butt of his cue as well. Yes, he looks pretty solid to me, Jim.
Yes, and the break at 46, the highest of the match thus far. 53 points in front. Doesn't require a lot more reds, but still a little work to do.
Nice angle on the blue, just to stun up for one of the reds again.
I noticed Alan out enjoying the swimming pool here at the Imperial Hotel again this morning, as he has done virtually every morning. He likes his exercise, it appears. And sometimes being very fit is not a bad idea over some of these long matches. Certainly helps to be in shape. Well, that was certainly an unwanted cannon onto the brown. He was looking to come back up table towards the reds. And he's still not safe yet, 65 points in front. And with 6 reds remaining, a possible 75 still available.
Yes, playing for the safety zone at the top of the table. But this is a slight chance for Steve Davis.
Yes, a fine 59 break there from the Scot.
Well, that's a good pot from Steve, and there's nobody more dangerous than this man in this position. Yes, his next red is going to be a bit more tricky, however. Nothing terribly easy for Steve here. Just running through off the top cushion for a red into the same pocket as that black.
16.
And I think this is the last free red in the open now. The 2 reds which are together on the left side of the table aren't set for the pocket. You may have to develop those. Can't do it off this black, however.
Well, closing the gap somewhat, 41 points behind, but I feel that's the end of break.
Steve Davis, 24.
And a nice way to finish it. Very awkward. I believe he's snookered Allen, and he'll want to be very careful here.
Yes, Allen obviously not choosing to split up the 2 safe reds, but that's a bit unlucky because the reds come back up the table and Steve's got a straight pot in the corner pocket now. Well, you can see there is a bit of angle there, and he could try and develop the reds also with this shot. He's done that, and that's a good shot from Steve. Dangerous time for Alan McManus now.
Yes, nervous days now for the Scot. All of a sudden, Steve has brought himself into a position where if he can hold himself together and finish off what looks to be very straightforward, he'll find himself with a 2-frame cushion.
Well, I'm sure Steve will be disgusted with that. Still controlling the game, however, and the pressure is certainly on Allen because he was a long way in front in this frame, remember?
Yeah, Steve walking very slowly back to his chair. The Steve Davis of old, in his prime, would likely have dished up there with not too much bother, but he hasn't been playing his best snooker of late, even though he's produced some form reminiscent of his heyday. But now it's a safety battle for this last red between these two players. And the question is, which one of them is going to buy the first shot? First chance then to Davis, playing a very nice safety shot, snookering Alan McManus again.
Yes, this is dangerous for Allen. Has to try and keep this red safe. Well, there's a bit of a chance for Steve here.
Davis still 25 points in the red. He needs all the balls, but any color with this red would be sufficient.
Good pressure pot from Steve there, and he's got to be favourite to win the second frame now. Yellow, of course, coming back up, and this is a simple positional shot. He must be wondering what went wrong here. Just stunning yellow in and holding on to the green.
Yes, and disappointing for Allen. Started off this frame with a 59 break, and not often you lose a frame when you knock in a 59. But he's playing arguably one of the best players ever to pick up a snooker cue, so things like that can be expected.
Well, Steve running into a bit of trouble here now. That wasn't a very good shot. And he's got some work to do to obtain position on this pink ball.
17.
Well, that was a fine attempt from Steve. A screw with check side. The pink wasn't available into the right-hand corner, so he had to play for this left-hand corner here. And this is a bit of an all-or-nothing shot for Steve.
And he's just taking a little time. I think he's concerned with actually knocking the black in with the pot here on the pink. Just having a look at the angle to see where he is going to cannon into the black.
Yes, Jim, this is a tricky shot. All too easy for it to go wrong. But not for Steve Davis. That was an excellent shot from Steve.
I'll say. And with it, a 2-frame-to-0 advantage now. Still, first one to 9.
This is the one, the World Cup. Watch it, live and exclusive on Sky Sports.
Sponsored by Gillette.
I bet you don't get that at university. You can't beat Heinz being ham soup. Of course, it's all bongo parties, brown rice. Ban the whale at university, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, aye. I know, I think it's...
Welcome back. A break of 58 gave Davis a 3-frames-to-0 lead in this best-of-17 decider. Now here's frame 4, McManus to break.
And Alan McManus trailing 3-frames-to-0. And I'm sure if young Alan didn't realize the enormity of the situation a little while ago, it's much clearer to him now.
Yes, Jim, Steve has just been ruthless so far.
Yes, I'm not sure there's anyone in the world that can live with that man when he really finds his form, because he has such a well-rounded game. Scoring at will and such a precise safety game as well. But that man certainly isn't going to give up, and it won't be from lack of effort if he does fall at the last post. But he's playing a player that has amassed over £3 million in total prize money in his illustrious career. And that's just in earnings on the snooker table. He's a terrific ambassador for the game as well. Not many places on the planet that he hasn't seen.
Well, Steve attempting a very difficult safety there, and this is probably the best chance Alan McManus has had in the entire match so far, and we're in the 4th frame.
Yes, and it was brought about by a very good safety stroke from Alan, forcing Steve into that error. But Alan's really been kept out for a long time, and it's difficult now to regain yourself and get yourself back into that gear of knocking balls in the pockets.
The pink spot not available, and so it goes on the blue, and Alan will be pleased about that. Well, it would have been a tragedy if he'd gone in off there. This time, if he does pocket the pink, it'll go back onto its own spot.
And that was a much more difficult shot than it looked. Very awkward bridging. That white was just a whisker from going in the middle pocket. But he's brought the situation back somewhat now. In the middle of the table, with a lot of the balls at his mercy.
Yes, Alan has to concentrate on the pink at the moment. The black's not available into either corner pocket. I'm sure Alan would like the blue on its spot, but he may be able to develop the black later on in this break if he's to continue. The red nearest the right-hand corner pocket. If that was potted later on, the black would certainly be available into that pocket.
Well, the break at 29, and is this going to be Alan's chance to stop the rot?
Yes, he's showing a lot of character here, Jim, and he could have won one of the earlier frames, and he's been shut out for a very, very long time indeed. So this is a good performance from Alan McManus. Nothing worries that man, though. As cool as a cucumber.
Yes, but I'm not so sure even the cucumbers are cool in Bangkok. Talking to Steve before this match, the one thing that did impress him about this city was the air conditioning. And I found that rather humorous.
49.
Yes, it's been extremely hot here, and most of the players are British who have come out here, and of course we're not renowned for great weather there.
50.
I know, because I have to live there.
And this really is a sterling performance from Alan. 56 points the break. And this is very gutsy stuff.
Yes, now the black is free for that pocket.
And I'm sure they're being well entertained.
Well, it was a nice little cannon onto the red near the black spot, and this is still good for Alan because the black's on the blue and this red's easy for him.
And the break progressing to 65, the highest of the match thus far. And with that, Steve now requiring snookers. And Ken Allen McManus now chase that 2,000-pound break prize, currently held by Malta's Tony Drago with a break of 98. Steve really doesn't look too concerned. $78 now, and Allen looking for more.
79.
I know from a competitive perspective, once you've already lost the frame, you really do like to see your opponent knock in a few breaks. If it's just going to earn him some money, why not? You never harbor any ill feelings. And especially with a player as well-liked as Alan is. Everybody wishing him all the success.
Yes, he could have done with screwing back a bit further off that red. But the black is certainly available for him as he nears the century mark. Nicely played. Little cannon onto the blue, and he's on the second last red.
Yes, that was very well played. The break now at 93. And are we going to see the tournament's first century?
Well, he's just lost the cue ball there a bit, and this is difficult to hold the cue ball behind the black spot now for this last red. It's there.
Well, there it is then. 101, the tournament's first century, and a new high break. And very nicely holding the black spot with the white. Well, that might open Steve's eyes a little bit.
Yes, Jim, this has been a tremendous performance from Alan. Totally shut out of the last frame, and he's responded in superb style.
Everyone in the crowd willing that to stop so it would finish on the yellow. And now if you can just dish up these remaining 6 colors, a break of 135. Not to belabor the point, but this really is special stuff under the circumstances. He was kept off the table for so long in the last frame.
122.
Yes, Jim, this is one of the best breaks I think I've seen in competitive play.
128.
He never really was in trouble with it. And just as black required for a total clearance of 135. And there it is, a magnificent 135 total clearance, and it's Alan McManus trailing 3 frames to 1 in this Asian Open Snooker Championship.
We're back after the interval now. Davis at the table leading by 7 points, but he's snookered on the green.
Well, Steve's having no problem finding the pocket with the white. Another snooker laid by Alan McManus. Steve getting a little bit of his own medicine. Still 3 points in front is Steve. That means that there's still a lot of snooker to be played in this frame. And apparently another snooker. He's got some terrific control with his safeties.
Very hard to swerve round the brown and avoid contact with the black, so Steve's in a spot of bother here. Of course, Steve could play to come off the top and have side cushions also. These little swerves are tricky shots, hard to send the green safe. Well, he'll be delighted with that result. It was an excellent swerve just to clip the outer left-hand side of the green and not send it towards the pocket.
Well, for the first time, Steve can see the green ball. It's been a few shots since he's had a clear view at the ball on. Well, this is half a chance for Allen, should he decide to take this green ball on, but there's a lot of green felt between these two balls. Lots of room for error.
Yes, Jim, and going down and across the nap of the table, of course, any trace of side makes it difficult.
Well, again, opting for the safety. He's really content to fight this one out.
And that's an error from Steve. He caught the green a bit thick. He sent the blue ball safe, though, so that counts in his favour.
And a nice green from Allen. Finishing nicely on the brown. And scoring accounts here in this fifth frame. 54 points each. Now, will he get another chance in this frame? And I think we've just found our answer to that question. A little unfortunate to finish so close to the blue. And quite obviously no pot available now. And Allen 4 points in front.
Yes, Jim, so this blue is certainly the key ball on the frame now. Steve requiring all three colours.
And that must be considered a mistake. Steve will surely take this blue ball on, but trailing by 4, he wants all three colors to win this frame.
Well, it's a good pot from Steve, but it's a difficult pink if he chooses to go for it. He wanted the pink in the right-hand centre, but the cue ball's finished badly for him.
Well, he opted to go for that pink ball. He hasn't left Alan an easy pink, but even more importantly, look what he's done with the black. And no matter which player putts this pink ball, it's a black ball finish.
Well, it's a good pot from Alan, and will he play the double? Across the table into the opposing centre pocket. Looks pretty close to a double kiss, however.
Well, that's just what he needed. Alan McManus with that double on the black now, pulling another one back. Still trailing 2 frames to 3.
Frame 7 now. Davis 49 points up and at the table.
I'm rather surprised there. I thought he might have taken that red on, but certainly no one to question the ideas in Steve Davis's head.
Well, he got the green back into play, but unfortunately for him, it's a foul shot. So Steve with the initiative here. 53 in front already. You want to keep this game tight now, Steve will. Excellent double, and the layup behind the brown, I suggest.
And I think what Steve is contemplating is trying to put the brown safe, or he may just touch up. I feel as though that's what he was looking at, the options. Well, that's a good hit. And certainly hasn't left anything.
Of course, there's 75 points left on the table. 6 reds, 6 blacks, and all the colours. So Steve does have to be careful still. He won an earlier frame from 65-0 behind, and 54 against a player of Alan McManus's calibre is by no means a frame-winning lead. Yes, Alan had to split the red sooner or later, but he needs that cue ball to run to make it very difficult for Steve. A little bit short of pace that time with Alan's safety shot.
And I think what Steve's thinking is anything he tries is risky, and the reds are very nicely situated should Steve make an error from this particular point.
Well, that's a great pot, Jim, and he's unlucky not to be on a colour there. The red over the pocket obviously blocking the pink's path, and I think the blue interfering with the yellow also over the left-hand corner pocket. That was a great pot from Steve because he probably would have left something had he missed.
Yes, and obviously the problem confronting Steve now is there's a red ball over the bottom right-hand pocket, and he's got to be concerned with trying to hide that if he can. He knows Alan will be having a go. He's already 55 points behind. He's got nothing to lose now. He has to be aggressive.
Yes, Steve, playing the safety off the brown. He'll be trying to get in behind the blue here. Again, a bit short of pace. Now, has he left this red over the corner pocket for Alan? Is there a path through the gap? Looks like this is on, and he may be able to obtain position on the black also. So, the red's well placed for Alan McManus now. Can he take advantage?
Well, 47 points behind. He'll certainly be looking to claw his way back into this frame. Be very, very difficult for him to win the frame in this visit. There's obviously some very awkwardly placed colors, but he'll be quite content to score some points and get himself back into contention.
12.
Just a little stun up for the black here, and he wants to concentrate on the higher valued colours if he can. Both reds in the open, and that shouldn't present too much problem for Alan because he has been playing very well. Now the red just to the right of the pink spot is the one he's on. A choice of playing for pink or black here.
And Alan just getting the referee to give the cue ball a quick wipe. One thing that Alan did mention to me just preceding this frame was that he was worried that he almost felt a little bit too relaxed. Certainly don't want to have to guard against complacency. And that man certainly looks relaxed. 27 points now. 35 left on the table.
Yes, and the difficulty here is obviously the brown, but he needs a good positional shot from this black to get close to the yellow and make it easy for him then to play from yellow to green. He needs a good angle on that green to obtain position on the brown, or even try and knock it out from the side cushion. Two key shots coming up now, yellow to green and green to brown. Steve knows that. Well, he's played that shot very well indeed. He was a long way away from the yellow. Won't be able to knock the brown out from this position. The angle would not allow him to do so. The cue ball would miss the brown naturally. And now faced with an even tougher position. It's a tough pot on the brown, and very difficult indeed to obtain position on the blue. Almost impossible, actually, to get on the blue from this shot. Yes, I thought he might play for the safety, and that's certainly what he's doing. Brown on the baulk cushion, the cue ball up the table again. Tried to nestle in behind the black, but just caught the middle bump there.
Yes, that was a fine reply from Alan. Just 14 points behind, and that means that Steve as well requires the blue. Well, that is, of course, if Alan can negotiate a good hit on this brown. What a super shot that was from Steve Davis. Boy, he's been a hard man today.
Well, he'll be delighted with that, Jim.
Yes, he's still forcing Steve to require the blue by hitting that brown. That's a terrific hit. Both these players have really fought long and hard in this final. The break building's been excellent. The safety play, terrific stuff. And just 21 years old, Alan McManus certainly a fantastic prospect in the game of professional snooker.
Yes, he'd dearly love to win this frame, and there you see Steve laying the snooker behind the blue again. That's good control from him. He's got the initiative thus far in this frame. 14 in front, 22 on the table. Not so much a question of hitting those snookers that Alan's been placed in, but getting the object ball safe when doing so. And that's as safe as one could possibly get it. Steve this time putting the brown behind the blue and using the pink as the snookering ball. Well, this is great tactical stuff, and I'm sure we'll see Steve try and screw behind the blue once again. Not as good as what he would have liked. He could have laid a lethal snooker there, had the cue ball been tightened behind the blue. As it is, there's a bit of room for Alan to swerve round this blue.
Yes, he's certainly having a very good look at it.
Do you think he can hit this brown ball directly, Jim? He's studying it closely, isn't he?
Well, in fact, he hit the other side of the brown, Dean. And unfortunately for Alan, a bit of a wry look at the score there. He's left the brown for Steve. 14 points in it. This brown would mean that Alan would only be able to tie with the remaining three colors. And at one stage, 55 points down, a tie wouldn't look too bad.
So really it's blue for game for Steve here now, and the way he's playing, I'd expect him to knock this one in. It's not an easy pot, though. Dispensed with that pretty easily.
Yes, and that blue virtually assuring Steve Davis of this seventh frame. And once reestablishing a three-frame lead, and Alan McManus concedes, and it's Steve Davis now leading 5 frames to 2.
Welcome back. Frame 8. No score, but McManus lining up a long red.
Yes, that's a good pot. May have to develop some reds off this blue ball, though.
Well, that was a rather uncharacteristic miss from Alan. He hasn't missed many balls like that today. The fact that he is behind in this match has been due mainly to the excellent play of his opponent, not so much to the mistakes that he's made.
Steve just standing up for the loose red on the top cushion. And there's another loose red at the back of the pack that I'm sure we'll see him play for. Nice angle on this black now to screw behind it. Well, pretty soon Steve is going to have to dislodge some reds. He's got the perfect angle to do so on this black. Bouncing off the top cushion, a lot of topspin on the white and crashing into the reds. Well, he needs a bit of luck. I think he's played it very well, though. Choice of 2 reds, possibly a one in the center. Or will he play the one in the corner?
I'm surprised those reds are still in one piece, the force with which he went into them with.
Yes, he hit the ball very well, Jim. But that's not his best shot.
Yes, you can tell he's thrilled with it.
That pink along the top cushion avails no position on the next red whatsoever. Could be just a matter of potting it and then playing safe for Steve Davis.
And everybody's still here. A couple of them look pretty sleepy, however. Probably had a long couple days at work and took the day off early to come down and be entertained by these two players. And Steve, 30 points in front. Really starting to tighten the screws in this match.
Well, this is a tough red he's going for. Yes, he was almost bound to leave something if he missed. It's red with the rest for Steve. Stunning across for the black into the same pocket. Now, this time, can he finish the frame off? The red's very nicely placed indeed, so it's a deep screw, back off the side cushion, and out again for one of those two loose reds, you see.
Yes, these are trying times for young Allen now. He was just starting to get a solid grip on this match. At one stage, 3-2 behind and almost looking like leveling at 3 apiece, but as is so often the case, when you don't take advantage of the chances that you are given, it can so easily come back and haunt you.
Yes, and Steve making him suffer here, opening the remaining reds. When he pots this red, it'll open the 2 ones near it to the opposite corner pocket. Nicely on the pink for Steve. He knows he's going 4 frames behind now. Those 2 reds available, but Allen can only sit and suffer.
Yes, the break at 32 and 62 points in front. Just this black required. And once again, Alan McManus in the familiar position of requiring snookers. I wonder if he's thinking about that swimming pool he spent so much time at throughout the week.
Well, a lot of power from Steve there. Stun running through with left hand running side. He's really starting to buzz now in this final, Jim.
Yes, I think that's due mostly in part to the way that Allen has played. Scoreline not really indicative of how close this match has been. The break now standing at 51.
Making everything look easy at the moment, Steve is. This is bad news for Alan McManus. He's got to stay cool, though. Plenty of matches have been won from a four-frame deficit before.
And they must be impressed. 67 points and another 4, making it 71, and obviously more to come. This is Steve's best effort of the match thus far. And this really is special stuff.
Perfect placement from Steve. This is great snooker from Steve. It's a pity for Alan, but it's great to watch nevertheless. A lot of checks out on that pink and this black for a magnificent clearance.
Yes, and with it, Steve Davis asserting his form, now taking a 4-frame advantage, 6 frames to 2.
On to frame 9 now, no score, but it's beginning to look bleak for McManus.
Yes, a lean, mean fighting machine.
Davis straight into the balls again. Screwing back for one of the loose reds. Now he may have to disturb some game with this red he's potting now. Automatically going towards the reds with the cue ball. And he just tried a little mini screw off a second red. Obviously displeased with that.
He needs his extension and should probably call the maintenance man for a step ladder as well. He's going to be using another extension to fit on the extended spider. That's the name of the tool that he's going to be using there.
Yes, Jim, and also extending the extension on the back of the wrist. And in the back of the key. Steve, of course, is a rather tall man, well over 6 foot. Coming back to bulk off this black. Nice thin contact.
Well, just shaking his head at that effort. Only 9 points. He knows he should have scored more, especially, obviously, the way that he's feeling. You'll get no complaints from Alan McManus. He's the one that needs the chances right now. He's going to have to play some very good snooker to play his way back into this match.
And Steve's shaping up for a long half ball, shot to nothing. A little bit thick. Taking the cue ball back to bulk.
Both of these players seem to be consuming an awful lot of liquid out there. Maybe they've spent a little time in the sun, or even possibly the humidity affecting them. Certainly feels warm and humid in the commentary box here. I can imagine the players are feeling the effects as well.
Well, Alan McManus almost blocking off the right-hand side of the table here. Yes, I thought so. If Steve's going to play round this green, he's going to need a bit of a swerve. Some left-hand side on the cue ball. And that was the reason for the rather irregular shot he performed there.
Yes, the mistakes have come very few and far between, and Alan McManus will be well advised to try and take good advantage of this one. Important for him to try and reestablish himself.
Yes, Jim, he certainly needs to do some potting. And now, I think this pink is available into the middle. Well, he's electing to come down for the blue again, and that cue ball needs to get travel a bit. He's on the wrong side of this blue. Have to take the cue ball down into bulk and back up again for the reds. Always makes the positional side of a shot more difficult. The cue ball has to travel a long way. Yes, he's going to have to travel away from the blue ball and come all round the back of the reds here. Back down the table again and attempt to get on the blue. Well, I think he'll take this into the corner pocket comfortably enough.
Stretching and ever so close to that yellow.
Yes, Jim, and that must have been the reason for the miss, because it was a fairly comfortable pot for Alan. The occasional mistake creeping into his game now. And this man, Steve Davis, will relish that. Potting this blue, it'll free up the game somewhat. Nice to have the blue on its spot available for positioning. Steve wants the black on its spot next. Now, does he have the angle off this red to get onto the black? Yes, he's stunned running through over to the side cushion perhaps. Out again for the black. Underdone that one, Steve has. The pot is fairly comfortable, but he'll be travelling into the pink and reds. So he's not automatically on anything.
Yes, and All of a sudden, another frame-winning opportunity for the man known as the Ginger Magician.
Well, he's negotiated everything very nicely thus far. Choice of pink or black to play for now. It's pink in the center. You'll just want to remove that red to the right of the black as you see it now. That'll free up the black for both corner pockets.
Yes, the break of 29, already 31 points in front.
Well, again, he's slightly underdone it. And that may be due to some foreign substance on the cue ball. Our international referee, John Williams, cleaning the cue ball there. Alan meditating in his seat. A fraction too far for this black, but there are a couple of loose reds still to play for. He may have to screw onto one of them now, the pink or the red. Nicely played.
Yes, 44 the break and 46 the lead. And just one more red needed to leave that man once again requiring snookers. And a good look at the venue here. The ballroom in the Imperial Hotel in Bangkok. Yes, and with that, Alan McManus needing a snooker. And quite possibly a doctor.
Yes, this is certainly heartbreaking for Alan, Jim. Steve in full flow now. Just attempting to clip one of those reds into the open. Wow, what a beautiful shot. A double kiss screw off the second red to pocket the first red, nearest the corner. Brilliant shot from Steve. And he sighted that particular shot so quickly, Jim. He's really seeing the balls well. Can he finish off with a 100 break?
Well, he had a 98 in the preceding frame. And the break at 76.
Yes, this is Steve Davis of old. There's no doubt about it. Now a nice deep screw on the brown, coming up for the blue again. Reverse side on the cue ball. He's fairly buzzing now.
And a marvelous 103 break, now taking Steve to a 5-frame advantage, 7 frames to 2.
Welcome back, frame 10. McManus to play, leading by 4 points.
One.
Choice of 2 loose reds at either side of the pack here for Alan. Also one in the centre available. Coming up for the black off this one.
And needless to say, a must situation for Alan. He can ill afford to give Steve his 8th frame.
Well, a loose red to the right of the pink there, and that's the one he'll be playing for off this black. 1, 2 cushions and out again. This time a loose red perhaps to the left of the cluster. Just stunning up from this blue. Well, that's a tragedy for him. He's gone too far.
Well, he's staked himself to a 30-point advantage. And looks to be a useful safety as well.
Yes, this is a tough situation for Steve here. Steve would dearly like to lay up to the loose red on the top cushion, but I'm not sure that's possible from here. So it could be into the pack. Back into the back of the reds, but it's a long way off from Steve. I guess even Steve can make mistakes.
And that's a good red in the center from Alan. Nicely onto the black. Steve hasn't really given Alan a chance to show what he is capable of, but I can assure you, by some of his earlier results, Alan McManus having disposed of Thai hero James Watana in the earlier rounds, as well as Martin Clark in the quarterfinals, Joe Swale in the semifinals.
Yes, and Alan using a lot of power to go into the red balls, but they haven't spread too nicely for him. Yes, he's opting for the safety now.
Yes, and the pace nicely judged. Still got a lot of fight in him.
Well, Steve, of course, opening the reds because he's 50 points behind, but that's an unwelcome bump on the middle pocket for him.
Vital red. Now, has he given Steve a chance to pull himself back into this frame? 50 points to 0 behind.
Yes, Jim, you're so right. There was a lot of pressure on that one. Alan, of course, now knows that Steve is in such superlative form that one half chance perhaps, and Steve will punish him for it. Even this great Steve Davis can miss one.
Well, the way the reds are situated, Alan obviously will be looking to win the frame from this visit.
Yes, nicely standing up for a choice of 3 reds there. One in the centre he was just looking at. That straightish one for the black, perhaps, or the one with more angle on it, down for the blue. And that's the one he's going for. Slightly difficult bridging there for Alan McManus. Yes, he needs to go a bit further, and again on the wrong side of the blue.
And because he was on the wrong side, now leaving himself a long red instead of being able to get close to it. No problems, though. And now just a touch up behind the yellow.
Yes, of course, Steve could win this frame. There's 75 points available. He's 63-0 behind.
But Davis couldn't do it, and McManus pulls one back.
Boots and all, Steve-o.
What's that then?
It's a new programme all about rugby league.
What channel's that on then?
Sky Sports. Should be good.
Who's on it?
Well, everybody. Guests, comment, you and me.
What, like referees?
Oh, we're going to get stuck into them.
What time's it on?
Thursday at 7 on Sky Sports. Better get yourself smartened up, you know.
Better get a haircut.
I think you should.
Watch Eddie and Steve-o on Boots and All. Thursday at 7 on Sky Sports.
Who's that? It's our programme, isn't it, this?
Thought so.
When I grew up and fell in love, I asked my sweetheart what lies ahead. Will we have rainbows day after day? Here's what my sweetheart said. Hey, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Que sera.
You never know what your future holds. But at least with Pearl, you should be able to afford it when it happens. The future's yours with Pearl.
With its new thicker coating formula, Vino starts to soothe in seconds. So when you've got a cough, Vino's helps to turn it off.
He is a self-employed decorator. She is top television star Julie Goodyear. Now he speaks out about his amazing friendship with the Queen of Soaps and how she helped him at a turning point in his life. Only in The Sun, plus rock superstar Bryan Adams and the cruel childhood that nearly smashed his chances. A Sun exclusive. And Goals, the great 12-page soccer pullout. All the weekend's action from Britain and Europe.
Get on the ball. Get Goals free every Monday.
All in The Sun this week.
Davis took the 11th frame to lead 8-3, but McManus is in with a chance of a long red.
One.
Yes, a nice run through off the green, coming up the table for the Reds. Pink and black out of commission at the moment, so it's just the blue and the bulk colours available to him. Well, I'm sure he played for the blue there, but this is slightly tricky now. Just rolling it in. Well played. They're tricky pots, those ones.
Yes, and as impressive as Steve Davis has been, so too has Alan McManus impressed a lot of people here this week. His notoriety building, but he's got a few years yet to acquire the notoriety of that man. But he's certainly young enough. Alan celebrating his 21st birthday here in Bangkok.
Yes, and nicely developing the black there. However, when he pots this black, if it goes in, it'll go back on and cover up the red just to the right of the black spot, as you can see there. Yes, the pots are getting harder all the time for Alan. Steve only needing this frame. And a nice development of the reds off that first red he potted. Good angle on the blue. He's on the right side of it. Easy little stun up for a loose red. And Steve, the wrong side of the blue this time. So he'll have to negotiate the bulk colours. Doesn't want to hit one of them. And of course he wants him to hit one of them. In between brown and green perhaps. Up the table. Can he develop those reds? Just missed them, but he should be on one here. Yes, the red towards the right-hand corner pocket. Steve would be hampered by the red to the left of the cue ball if he played that one, so it makes the positional side of things difficult. It's tight on that top cushion as well, and believe me, these are tight pockets. World Championship tables. Hard to get on a colour here.
Yes, it was awkward. Sitting on the table, he couldn't get down on his cue, and sighting might have been made a little bit more difficult. These guys are playing for a lot of money out here today. 11,000 pounds difference. 30,000 pounds the winner's check. 19,000 pounds the runners-up. And this 1992 Thai Sky Asian Open carrying a total purse of 180,000 pounds. And that translates into over 7 million bahts. That sounds like a hefty figure. And also the trophies that accompany those checks. The bigger one on the right to the winner, and the one on the left to the runner-up.
Yes, and a good containing long pot there from Alan McManus, leaving the cue ball trapped in the jaws of the right-hand corner pocket. Looks like he wants this black in the open. The cue ball down and bulk for safety.
And Alan just 2 points in front in this 12th frame.
Well, that's a Steve Davis classic, Jim.
And there's a couple honored guests. Will be involved in the presentation here at the conclusion of this tournament.
Yes, a heavy stun run through off the side cushion. Now he's on the black. However, from this angle, he won't be able to get on the two reds above the black. He'll have to concentrate on the two together down towards the pink ball and the right-hand side cushion. I think the one to the left obviously goes, the way Steve's played that shot. Steve very tall, and he's well over 6 foot. He can reach this shot. That looks pretty tight. No problem to Steve Davis, however. Vital blue this, travelling up with the two reds above the black. If he gets on one of these nicely, it could be disastrous for Alan.
Yes, already 20 points behind. And this is looking ominous. Very much like the beginning of the end.
Yes, Steve, the great champion that he is. He seldom misses from clinching positions. And Alan knows that, of course. You don't win 62. Could this be his 63rd major title? Unless you have great character.
And with that black, Alan McManus now 36 points behind and only 35 on the table.
Stunning the cue ball in behind the pink if the red doesn't drop. This is brutal stuff from Steve Davis. Yes.
And in it goes. And I'm sure that in reflection, Alan McManus will be leaving on the plane. He'll be very satisfied with his performance here this week. He just happened to run into a man that was going to be a little too hard to beat. And Alan McManus concedes, and it's Steve Davis. 9 frames now, and with it, the 92 Thai Sky Asian Open Snooker Championship.
Firstly, to receive the high break prize and the runner-up trophy, ladies and gentlemen, Alan McManus. And to receive the winner's trophy, the 1992 Thai Sky Asian Open champion, Steve Davis.
Welcome back to the 1993 Welsh Open. It's the Typhoon, James Watana, against the Whirlwind, Jimmy White. Sit back and enjoy what is the last quarter-final of this tournament. It's going to be an absolute cracker, and I think they're ready to come into the auditorium. Always special when these two meet. Lots of electricity involved. Two young men. I think James Watana is the first into the arena. There he is, a young man from Thailand, something of a god in his home country. Let's have a look at his profile. There he is, James Watana from Bangkok, 23 years of age, as I said. World rank 7, provisionally 5. Look at that prize money. The World Match Play Champion 92 and the Belgium Masters Champion the same year. Crowd sitting ready in expectation. There's not a lot you can say about Jimmy White, really, that hasn't been said. The only thing, really, that he's got left to do is win that world title. He's been runner-up 4 times. There he is, a young man from my neck of the woods. Let's have a look at his profile. Jimmy White from London, as I said, 30 years of age now. World ranked 3, provisionally 2. Look at that prize money for last season. The UK champion, 92, the Rothmans Grand Prix champion, 92, for the 2nd time, and the British Open champion as well. What a great start to the season. There he is. Looks like he's had a bit of a trim up for this one, Jimmy.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Looks like he's going to break. So let's settle back and enjoy the match. Your commentators, Clive Everton and John Virgo.
Well, a full house.
two of the game's best and most attractive players. What more do you want?
One. Six. Seven. $14. 15.
Nice angle on the black to go into that cluster of reds. How will they break?
$22.
Well, no complaints about that. Should be easy enough to drop this red into the middle pocket.
$23. $28.
Interesting choice of shot. There were loose reds to play for, but he thought the percentages were in his favour if he tried to open the bunch.
29.